Okay.
Wait, you can proceed. It'll take some time for this. It would not happen unless that YouTube is also.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it has begun. Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we can start at now.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's Pedagogy Socratic dialogue. Now, how many of us think that if we could go back to a school and change the way we were taught and change the way the education system is? A lot of us, right? So today we would discuss if we could implement thought leadership in students in school, how would we do it? And our teams would have a discussion on this. But before that, I would request both the teams to go ahead and introduce themselves.
I'll go first. Hello everyone, I'm a member of Team Educare and I work as a data champion for UBL.
Hi everyone, I'm Amruta. I'm from Team Educare and I work as a content writer for Unique Biotech.
Hi everyone, I'm Abialo and I'm in Team Care and I work for front-end developing as Pedagogy.
Hello everyone, my name is Dia and I work in the research and development team and I'm the coach for Educare team.
Hello everyone, I'm Dhruv. I'm from Team Thought Leaders. I work as a data champion at UBL.
Hello everyone. So myself Vignesh. I work as a backend developer in BT and from Team Thought Leaders.
Hello everyone, my name is Gaurav and I am from Young Thought Leaders and I am a data scientist, a data champion in UBL.
Hello everyone, my name is Omkar Nikam and I am the coach for Young Thought Leaders.
Hi everyone, I'm Paridhi. I am a part of the research and development team and I'll be the co-moderator for today's ST.
Hi everyone, I'm Ardua. I'll be your moderator today and I'm working as a growth hacker at DeepThought. Now I would request one of the teams to go ahead and share their pitch. Who's going first?
I will go first.
Thank you, Team Young Thought Leaders.
Sorry,
You
I
can
was
go
supposed to
ahead.
be part of the teams or what? Like, I didn't understand. Like,
Okay. Hi Ashima. Just give me a minute. So you can observe this and we'll at the end we can open a few questions to the audience who will be able to answer. But the main SQ would go for both the teams where one team would question and the other team would answer and vice versa.
but
Makes
we
sense?
are, well, as we are just observers for this. We're not part of any
Yes,
team, right?
yes.
Yes.
Only the teams
For
will be
now, yeah.
interacting and once they're done, we'll open up the round to all of you where you can share your reflections based
Right.
on whatever you heard.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yeah, Dhruv.
Uh, Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about fostering critical and creative thinkers in education and how we can use thought leadership to better prepare students to be innovators and problem solvers of the future. Thought leaders in education is more than just teaching facts. It's more about helping students think in new, deeper ways. To really do this, we need to shift focus on how we teach how we teach skills like creativity and critical thinking. We'll share a few key changes that can help do just that. One great way uh, is through daily problem solving activities. These can be short puzzles, riddles, or even ethical dilemmas. Just something quick to get students thinking in different ways. Doing these regularly really strengthens both their critical and creative thinking skills.
So following that, we think reflection plays a vital role for students to improve on their internalizing the lessons and recognize areas for improvement. So the reflection encourages the students to explore and learn on their own. And reflection helps them to have a deep, crucial understanding of what they learn and having bottlenecks, which helps them to understand the problems better and improve on their where they lack. So reflection is basically helps them to have a mind, accelerate their personal growth and build emotional intelligence too. So coming to that real world application, we think project-based learning helps students to solve problems more, increase their critical and creative thinking. The reason we think is so basically project-based learning gives a different kinds of sets of problems to us. So with approaching that, we can sometimes we have a expected problem, sometimes we may not. So solving that will help us to understand where we stand, and moreover, understanding the part where we have a knowledge and where we have to improve on. And moreover, when we have a problem, we try to communicate and sort it. So communication enhancement helps in the problem project-based learning and helps the student encourage and take initiatives. Yeah. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Team Young Thought Leaders. You can stop sharing your screen. Over to Team Educare for your questions. And everyone else, you can also drop your questions on the chat box. We'll try to take 2 to 3 questions per team.
So my first question is how, as an organization or a school, you will make the students or the other stakeholders to see value in your process.
We can show examples of current thought leaders like Steve Jobs and say these are the people that your child can become if they follow these steps.
Uh, you can, like, what's the proof then? If they follow these steps, how would you guarantee that they will become Steve Jobs and come up with Apple?
I would just like to interrupt here. Let's please try to keep the questions focused on the pedagogy itself, which is being suggested by the other team, not how they would, market it or convince others to follow it. Let's focus on the effectiveness and quality of the pedagogy itself.
So how this process ensure that the student, if he follows it, he would become a thought leader, or
It like the three methods we pushed. Uh, Puzzles can help uh, give a problem-solving approach. Like for example, if you take a Rubik's cube, there are many different ways to solve it, but the end solution is the same, right? You want to reach a solution, but you can take different paths to get that solution. So these can help with that. Uh,
so how about teaching the student what could be the smartest path to reach the destination and not just follow the random paths and you know
there is never a smartest path. I'm not going to we won't tell them that this is the smartest path. We'll tell them this is your goal and how do you want to achieve this goal.
and how would you motivate and create the interest in the students to follow these ideas?
Students could be incentivized, if we're talking about younger students, they could be incentivized with books, pencils, they can be incentivized with anything. Uh, Create what is it called? Positive reinforcement.
Good.
So,
So
So
do you think that this framework or this idea can only be applied to small kids, or any to any person in any level of any point of career?
it can help with anyone actually. It's actually easier to explain with the kids because we know how kids act. It's more obvious for the kids, but with adults too, it is true too.
So how would you incentivize adults?
Yes, Gaurav, go ahead.
Rewards is something that can motivate people to come back because there are a lot of ways, but reward is something that people want to do for.
I didn't get the answer.
Okay, whatever we try to do, we want to achieve something because that is giving us some kind of, reward basically. So that reward becomes a dopamine. And if you do something, you will want that reward again and again.
So that makes that the person will do it for the reward, not for the idea.
No, I
So
told in the
how would
context
you
of
keep it?
reward.
How would you keep the reward such that the person follows the path of this ideology but is attracted to the reward? He want create an interest in the idea, not in the reward.
For that, we are having a two step, that is reflection and project problem solving basically. So when he try to reflect, he will see what are the mistake and what was he has done it. So he see the path that he has done and all, and he can that apply in the projects that he will be working on.
No, but his question is, how would you make the person interested in your ideas? How
So
would you make a
Reward,
person, yeah,
rewards,
yeah, so the
rewards will
rewards
bring
are
people close.
the
what kind
rewards
of
are
rewards?
But what if he is he gets the habit of getting a reward and it makes him you know uh, makes him is result oriented, not the process centric person. So he
So the
the
yeah, go ahead.
continue, go you, if you understood the
Yeah.
question.
So as you asked for, how will you make the person engage in this process? First, we said we use incentives and rewards to make them engage. The rewards is not to make them come back. The rewards is to encourage them to take initiative. For initiative they took, we are giving rewards for them, which encourages them to be engaged more. It's not about for the process they done. It's about for the initiative they took.
All right. So Team Young Thought Leaders is saying that rewards would be used to initiate the process, but rewards are not what keep the process going. Ultimately, the student will keep continuing with the process because they would like it. Does Team Educare
Yeah.
have any follow-up questions for that?
So what would make them like it other than reward? If you just pull reward out of the picture, they lose all the motivation then.
But we also say the improvement is also one kind of, that gives a motivation. If they are improving, they see a growth, they will again come back.
So okay, they are rewarding themselves as their better personality. So this could be a better reward than objectifying the reward.
So you're
Abstract.
saying that the
Like
reward will start the process, and over time, the impact that they see through the efforts that they're putting in is what will keep them continue to
Got it.
stick
Understood.
to it.
Understood. Okay.
Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question. You said that you would encourage innovative thinking and, creative critical thinking. How are you planning to implement it?
through reflection and project based learning. Reflection help us to critically think, and when we're trying to do a project, that would help us to creatively think about how we can make the projects.
Okay, on project-based learning, how does that make one student become a thought leader? What's the effect of the project learning?
So in project-based learning, they are set to try on their own to make it an independent learning. From that, they can understand what do they know or what do they have to know.
Could you repeat it? I'm sorry.
I think Vignesh is stuck. Does anyone else from Team Young Thought Leader wants to take up the question? This is the last question we'll take, and then we'll take up one question that Vamshi has posted on the chat box. Then we'll close this round for Team Young Thought Leaders.
Your question was how we are going to use project-based learning to teach, right?
Yeah, like how does project-based learning make a students become a thought leader? That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so project-based learning. Okay, if you compare it to traditional schooling, you're just everything is tailor-made for you. You're just given something and you're asked to finish this task without any. You're given a lot of guidance. But if you're given a project, okay, send 10 emails to these people and automate this process. Yes, you find these small little problems that you need to overcome in order to finish that project, which is what which is something you don't get in traditional schooling.
Vyalu, does that answer your question?
Uh, okay. So my question is exactly like, how does it make them the thought leader? I know it's different from the traditional schooling, but how is it getting them closer to becoming a thought leader?
A critical part of being a thought leader is also being a good problem solver, right? If something new comes up, you're supposed to be good at fixing that problem. So if you first learn all these things that are already solved, but you're doing it on your own, that helps in becoming a problem solver.
Okay, with that, we'll close. Just before that, Vamshi asked on the chat box that what do you mean when you said reflecting on what they learned? What do you mean by that? Quick answer, and we'll close this session for Team Young Thought Leaders.
Reflecting means you write down, okay, so you take a piece of paper and you write down everything you learned. It's not just recalling, and you also write down, uh, like let's say you have a project, you write down a celebration, you talk about something you learned. So that motivates you to keep going, because if you just focus on all the problems you are facing right now, that demotivates you a lot. The second part is bottleneck analysis, in which you identify the problems you face today. In every day, you're going to find some kind of a problem. If you look hard enough, you're going to analyze the problem and see what the problem was, and how you overcame it, or how you're planning to overcome it. So that makes it easier for you to become a better person, or being better at something than you were yesterday.
Okay, thank you, Team Young Thought Leaders, for the answers. We'll move on to Team Educare for their pitch.
The screen's visible, right? Hello everyone, we are Team Educare. So think of a society where there are no thought leaders. Hard to imagine, right? Now think of a world where majority of population are thought leaders. But who are thought leaders? What are the qualities of thought leaders? So the quality which is more seen in the thought leaders are their curiosity about things, their critical thinking ability and problem solving ability, their ability to collaborate with different kinds of people, situation and circumstances, their dignity and integrity, the flexible ability to which allows them to work in any circumstances. The most important is their innovative thinking, which help them reach the 1% of the population, and their empathy.
Yeah. So how do we nurture this thought leadership in students? Meta learning. The idea here is to emphasize on the process of learning and what are the different methods of learning. We encourage students to reflect on their learnings and figure out what worked for them and what did not work. Second is making new mistakes. So we encourage students to make mistakes, learn from their mistakes, but ensure that they are not repeating the same mistakes. And courage to decide. So we provide students with a safe space wherein they can take maybe small decisions, but without the fear of being judged, or without the fear that they might go wrong.
Tuned on the strategies, one is nurturing student talents. So there is a saying in Hindi that goes, Pancho unguli barabar nahi hoti, which translates to not all five fingers are equal. And is basically saying that everyone is different. So when a teacher is able to recognize individuality and respect it, students are more likely to innovate and lead in their areas of interest and expertise. Another one is adapting to the uncertainty. So this refers to offering challenges that will foster creativity and encourage the students to think critically and become spontaneous, and all of which are the fundamental traits of thought leaders. Another point is IQ and EQ balance. So what this basically means is being able to balance the intellectual growth with emotional development of the students and teaching them how to manage stress, empathize with others, and communicate effectively. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Educate. Over to Team Young Thought Leaders for their questions. We'll only take 5 to 6 questions in the interest of time. Please go ahead.
Can you elaborate on IQ and EQ balance?
Yeah, so IQ is the normal intelligence, right? The intelligence quotients, and EQ is the emotional intelligence. So having one or excelling in one is not enough. We have to be able to develop both sides. So if someone has IQ but low EQ, he won't be able to communicate with others properly and be able to empathize with others. So that's the importance of the IQ and EQ balancing.
Okay, so how do you
Does that
create an
answer your
environment?
question? Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes.
Okay.
How do you create an environment where if a student keeps making mistakes, like a different mistakes, same mistakes, doesn't matter. How are you going to incentivize that person to be better and not make those mistakes again? Because if I were in a position where I'm in my comfort zone, why would I want to improve?
So, along with, we are allowing them to make mistakes, but we are also encouraging them to reflect on their mistakes. In reflections, they are knowing like what did they do wrong. So that, see, it's okay to make new mistakes. It is said that unless and until you make mistakes, you cannot learn. So the focus is on the process of learning here. Does that answer your question?
But like, what's the motivation exactly? Yeah.
See, the motivation here is, your own improvement. So once you have the habit of understanding the reason behind everything, if you are given a responsibility, you failed it. So now you have to ask you some questions: why I failed it, or how I failed it. So once you answer those two questions, you'll get the understanding of the particular task, and now you have two reasons to focus, two probable mistakes to focus on, that you would not make in the further projects or further responsibilities that you are given to.
Yeah, and when you reflect on your mistakes, you kind of, take the ownership of it. So that is, I think, the biggest motivation.
Okay, I
Add further.
understand that.
Yeah, you have a
But
follow-up.
adding on to that question, sorry,
Yeah, please ask a follow-up question.
adding on to that, if I don't care about schooling or in your school, uh, why would what would stop me from repeating the same mistakes that I've already been making? Like I could write all the problems I have on a piece of paper, but how is that going to improve me as a person?
See, the idea of the system is to include everybody through nurturing each and every talent. So, you won't come to the point wherein, you don't care about anything at all. You would care about something.
What if I care something that isn't in like schooling or something? Like let's say uh social media influencer, just a random example for now.
Yeah, so
That
if
can't be taught. Okay. So,
yeah, so see, basically, what we are doing in nurturing the talent is we are having, let's say, interest inventories, the assessments, and we are forming various hobby clubs. If you are interested to be a social media influencer, you can definitely, fit in some role.
Maybe there
Maybe
there you won't feel alone that okay, let's say we have this assessment for social media influencer and we came to know that let's say the school have 1,000 population and let's say 70 or 60 people are now they want to be a social media influencers. So now you are in an environment where you don't feel alone and you don't feel like you belong somewhere else. Now you have the sense that you belong here and you will want to improve. uh, does this answer your question?
yes. How are you going to have so much diversity in one school? Like, assuming that it is one school.
See, every one of us know
Can
that.
we just, sorry to interrupt, but can we keep the question around thought leadership? I don't think how would they bring diversity to their school is directly related to how they're implementing thought leadership. Can you please rephrase
Uh,
your
it
question, please?
it it's diversity in terms of like what they're teaching, like let's say courses that are being taught. Like right now they were talking about social media influencing. How many people are going to be interested in 3D modeling? How many people are going to be interested in gaming? Like if it is just one or two, how is that going to motivate them?
it's not
That's going to
about it's not about the subjects we are taking. It's about the motivating the person, giving the environment to him.
giving the ecosystem that they require. We are not teaching them everything. We are just bringing them together.
Also, anyways, we are teaching them the process of how to learn things, how to experiment things, how to learn from others mistake. So if they see this particular content is not working because it was politically biased, so now they know if they are politically biased they might face some hatreds and something like else. And now if they see okay, this is a comedy video and it's getting some good engagement over there, so now they'll make some comedy, comical entertainment videos.
So, Amitra, how are you relating this to your core idea of thought leadership?
The core
You're
idea here,
deviating into
no, the
sections.
core idea here was to make them learn the process of learning and learn from others mistake.
See,
So once
and
you learn from a mistake, it's we have talked about not making the same mistake again and again. So if you know that the in somebody made or has already made this mistake, it's not very advisable to make the same mistake again. So we would want them to feed this key, not make the same mistake again. Experimenting is fine, but not making the same mistake again.
and I think the idea of a thought leadership is to not getting stuck in a particular field, but to go beyond that. It crosses the boundary of a particular discipline. It is interdisciplinary thinking.
Understood. Team Young Thought Leaders, any other question?
Yes, I have. But when we approach a thought leader, we expect him to, have an idea or solution for us. And he's an expert in, a particular field. So when you're trying to say it is connected, like he should be in other also field also. That means, for example, you're telling that a particular doctor should treat, other diseases also.
Currently, we're talking
No,
about
that's not what I.
inculcating. Currently, we're talking about inculcating thought leadership through pedagogy. So we're teaching students how to think like thought leaders. Specialization is something they'll pick when they mature and figure out their area of expertise. So are there any pedagogy relevant questions?
Yes. How are you planning to allow them to adopt uncertainty? What are the method that you will be using to them? Processes you will use?
Okay. So, for example, such as a deep thought we follow SD, right? So, creating the spontaneous thinking and putting them in a situation where they will have to think on their feet. So, putting them in such situation, it will encourage them and make them develop on these areas?
No, we had an SD about where there was this question: would you exchange the bag of diamonds for a water in a desert when you are thirsty? So putting them under such elaborative and brainstorming thinking would encourage their problem solving skills and would give them an idea of the uncertainty.
Okay. In the interest of time, we'll close this session. But before we close, we'll take 5 reflections, and the reflections are open to everyone. So the team plus the observers plus everyone who's on the link can go ahead and share a reflection. Please raise your hand first, so we're able to understand who wants to share the reflection.
You can ask questions in the learners community group. You can ask your question and you can tag members of the specific team and they'll answer them there. Right now, we're taking reflection.
Who's going first? Come on, people, go ahead. What did you learn from the Socratic dialogue? And the live participants are also encouraged to share their reflection. Okay, thank you, Omkar. Thank you, Ashrama. Who's going next? Okay, if nobody goes next, I'll randomly pick people. After both of them finish, I'll randomly pick people and you'll have to share your reflection.
I raised my hand, Artuha.
Yeah, thank you, Soumitra. 2 more seats. Who's going next?
All
Thank you,
right.
Rajdeep. Yes, Omkar, you can go ahead with your reflection.
Yeah. So as I listened to these folks, there were many questions like I was to about ask, and I want that answers. Then, but the conversation went very interestingly. Like they, the main concept, like the qualities that they brought into, were more like they were more. What we can say, they were more the qualities which are not generally discussed, right? So. If you see generally these qualities are not discussed, so there are few things like I want till I am not able to figure out how a leader can be a thought leader and what is the difference between a leader and a thought leader. Yeah, so if anyone is a thought leader, is it compulsory for him to be a leader? Yeah, so as an individual can I be a thought leader? Yeah, so there are few questions that I got into. Then again, the team thought leaders propose the 3 stages or 3 ways in which we can try for being a thought leader. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Omkar. Thank you for bringing in the interesting questions. Yes, Ashima, go ahead.
Hi. I just got this idea from both the groups. I wouldn't specify which group, but the concept was interesting to me is the motivation of students to learn when they make mistakes, because what will promote them to get out of their comfort zone and learn from their mistakes and not repeat them. And the whole thing that I think Amrita was mentioning, she gave that very good insight as to how you can make them insightful and reflect and then come to the conclusion that what is their mistake and then get interested in the process, because how it engages them into becoming better problem solvers. So that is something like what the diamond and the other example is basically like you're teaching them how to fish instead of giving them a ready cooked meal. You're teaching them how to get the meal, basically. And that's what makes a good thought leader. So that's my reflection and understanding of this whole process. Thank you for the dialogues, everyone.
Thank you, Ashima. Yes, Amita, go ahead.
So during the whole process of preparing for the SD, so I'm not sure if every person can be a thought leader. There are multiple qualities. There are people who are different from each other, but one thing is permanent, that if they follow certain methods, if they focus on the process of learning, the process of understanding the why, the reasons, all those behind the understanding the context, so they could become the best version of themselves. So this was my reflection. That's it.
Okay,
And
thank you, Samitra.
to answer Omkar's question, every thought leader is a leader. That's the leader is already in the name. So maybe we can have discussion some other time.
Okay, thank you, Samitra. Yes, Gaurav, go ahead with your reflection.
So during this process, there were a lot of learnings. One of them was what exactly a thought leader is, and what makes it different from a normal leader. The first thing is that thought leader is expert in a particular field, whereas a leader is not expert, but he knows something from a thought leader. For example, I will take an example, common example. If we are having any tech issue, we reach Alex or Shawan because they have solution for it. And if we are having any kind of other kind of issue, we are reaching to a particular person, and they guide us, they lead us. So those can be act as a thought leader. And a leader can be, for example, for example, Shagundi. For example, whenever we try to approach, he will give a solution. Do I make sense?
Yes, Gaurav. Okay. Over to you, Rajdeep, for your reflection.
Yes. So reflecting on the two teams, I found that both methods focusing on development of critical thinking and emotional intelligence and doing some puzzles and rewards also motivates us, while project-based learning fosters leadership skills and and the mistakes are seen as learning opportunities, not like a backward thing, and also encouraging growth rather than fear of failure. And the blend of IQ and EQ that educate team told also development prepares us for both academic and personal development. So that was the reflection.
Okay, thank you, Rajdeep. Just make sure from the next time you're able to bring in your thoughts into the reflection, because we want the reflection more to be around what you understood, not what was said during that.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Over to you, Amrita.
Yeah, so this was my first live SD. It was a great experience. And, during the entire process of preparing for it, I realized that the system that we follow at DT is so closely aligned to, all the points that we discussed. So it's just the realization that I had. And, now I can really relate to the name. Like I knew the meaning, but I can relate it more closely to it now.
Okay, that's a very interesting insight. Thank you, Amrita. And thank you, everyone, for being in this pedagogy Socratic